It ended up really good. I was really proud of Steve Addington and all of our crew. We kind of struggled there the first half of the race. We were fought loose in 1 and 2 and really tight in 3 and 4, so it's really hard to fix the balance of the race car when it's doing two different things on two different ends. But really proud of Addington. He just kept throwing things at it to try to get a direction, and once he got on what it was like, and it got a lot better at the end there, and we got both ends at least to do the same thing, and then we could balance it out from there. But I broke the clutch with about 85 to go, and we came in the pits. They jacked it up and looked at it, and figured out we could keep going. But we came in because we looked at it. We took the option to come back in and top it off with fuel, and just basically got the opportunity. The next caution, when everybody came in, we got up to 8th and had 2 really good restarts after that got us up to 2nd, and then coming to the green, we actually lost fuel pressure actually with the 1 to go, and that's why we were on the apron trying to get fuel to the pickups, and got it back, but then lost it again coming off of 4 to the green, and coming down the front straightaway on the restart, it kind of laid down a little bit, and that dropped us back to 3rd. But considering the hurdles of the day, I'm pretty happy with a 3rd place run.
Thank you, Tony. We'll take questions now. Let's go up to the press box first. I'm told we have questions. Go ahead, press box for Tony Stewart.
Monty Dutton, Gaston Gazette. Tony, I know that this is one you want to fill in the blanks, and it was a struggle, and you made the best of it, but was there ever any time in this race that you thought, well, this is the time. This is the time I'm going to do it?
I was pretty frustrated about halfway through because we just kept fighting the same issues on the respective ends of the track. I mean, we just kept fighting loose and couldn't get it tightened up in 1 and 2, and couldn't do anything. Because we were trying to tighten up 1 and 2, we really didn't have the opportunity to try to free up 3 and 4. So it's hard it's hard and frustrating when you got 2 different conditions going on, and we basically fought that loose condition in 1 and 2 since we unloaded yesterday. So it just kind of was frustrating that we couldn't find anything and couldn't hit on it, and after the first couple runs of the race and having 2 or 3 chances to take a stab at it, and didn't seem like we were making a direction. It was frustrating, but it's why we it's why we won a championship last year too. We never give up, and Steve kept me positive. He was calm the whole time, and he kept saying, "I'll work on it. I'll get it fixed." And it just kept me calm, and sure enough, we finally got it to do one thing, and then we could work on it from there and try to get it the rest of the way.
Go ahead, press box for Tony Stewart.
No further questions in the press box.
No further questions. Pete's got one right here. Front row here to the right, Tony.
Tony, Pete Acabelli with the AP. I mean, given that this is Darlington and it was her first run, I mean, you had to be pretty pleased that Danica made it to the end here.
Yeah, and I got to watch a lot tonight, even if it was from afar. I mean, when she'd be in the center of the corner, we were coming down the straightaway and could see it. But I'm ecstatic with the results. I mean, I don't even know where she finished. Don't know how many laps down it was. But she ran good lap times tonight. I mean, there was a period of the race where when she said her balance was at her best, they said she was within a tenth of the leaders at that point of the race. So really, really proud of her. Really thankful to Greg Zipadelli and all those guys. I mean, just did an awesome job. And this is a long weekend. I mean, what she did in these 2 days is hard to do. So to have the result and the way she ran last night, and I'm sure I'll get a chance to watch more of what she did, after we get home. But the time I was around her and got to watch, I mean, she did a really good job. This is a hard place to learn. And the first time I came here, about the 4th time I crashed, I finally was glad that they couldn't fix it because I'd had enough for the night. So I'm pretty proud as a car owner of what she did both nights.
Other questions for Tony downstairs? Raise your hand if you have one. Anybody? Go Viv and then to Jerry. Right here, Candace. Viv, Jerry. Excuse me.
Viv Bernstein, NASCAR.com. Do you know anything about Ryan's pit crew getting in an altercation with the Kurtz? And did you talk to anybody about that?
I haven't yet. I went. First thing I did was go down and congratulate Rick Hendrick and Jimmy, and then went to find Danica. But I will find out after we leave here what happened.
Let's go to Jerry up here on the front. Go ahead, Jerry.
Jerry Bunkowski, Sports Exchange. What does it mean to you to Rick Hendrick that Rick Hendrick wins 200? I mean, as a team owner, a driver who's followed him all through your career, 200 is a pretty lofty achievement. What do you think about it?
I think it's phenomenal. It's especially with the competition every year getting tougher and tougher. It's harder and harder to win these races. So I'm especially for it to happen at the Southern 500 too, such a historic race. I mean, it's a pretty cool milestone, and I was trying to postpone it another week by trying to get to Jimmy, and just couldn't do it. I mean, the closer I got to him, the tighter I got, and that was one of the best runs we had, but still I wasn't strong enough to deal with him. He had plenty of car left. He was just riding and trying to save fuel. So they won it in dominating fashion, and to win a 200th race, you don't want to back into the win. I mean, they dominated it and took it the way they should. I'll never make it that long. So.
Other questions for Tony? Mike, go ahead.
Mike Mullen, and I apologize. It's in my car. It's right outside.
All right,
I'm sorry
fair
about
enough.
that. I apologize if you've answered this question. My brain's a little freighted right now. On the final restart, you're on the inside, side by side with the leader, and yet the inside line is like a zero at this track, the way you have to go into turn one. Was you thinking that, well, Jimmy's going to win it unless something really fluky happens?
No, not necessarily. I mean, the restart before, even when we broke the clutch, it didn't bother us except for on the pit stop. So going through the gears, it wasn't an issue. But he actually spun the tires the restart before when we lined up behind him, and we actually kind of got him shot into one and got him ahead. But and that got us to second, obviously. But I thought that we may have a shot at it if he spun the tires again. But we ran out of fuel coming off of 4, and it didn't run all the way out of fuel, but it laid down enough that it didn't run 100% going down into turn 1. But once we got into 1, it got the fuel to the pickup, and we were fine, but just lost a spot doing it, and it took away our opportunity to try.
Back over your right shoulder there, Candace. Mike.
Mike Neff from frontstretch.com. There was a lot of talk before the race and during this week that the pavement had turned grayer and the old Darlington was kind of coming back. But on the last caution, there were several guys that came in and took 4 tires, and when we had the green-white checkered, they really didn't go anywhere. Whether it's the tire or the track, is it still track position more than tires at this place at this point in time?
It's so narrow that you don't have that luxury that you have at some of the other tracks where you can go numerous different spots on a racetrack. I mean, it's 1 and 2, you're pretty much line committed, and 3 and 4, you had guys all night, all over the racetrack. I mean, this is the first time that I ever remember being at Darlington and seeing guys in turn 3 and 4 all the way underneath the hash marks on the first level of banking that wasn't even on the racetrack. It was the highest level of the apron, and there were guys that were running down there, and it actually made me want to try it too. So, I mean, I went down there a couple times and couldn't make much ground on it, but it was, I was running on spots on the racetrack I've never even been on. So it's definitely losing a lot of that grip, and it took it all night before it really gripped back up at the end.